Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter. Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here, and welcome back to another video. Now, something a little bit different today. I wanted to talk about ratings and viewing figures. I went onto the Barb website, which is what tracks the most watched programs of each given week, and I wanted to just break down the most recent chart, just to see actually what made the top 50, which broadcasters made the top 50, and just to look at the numbers in general. So of course, Barb stands for Broadcasters Audience Research Board, and they collate the viewing data from a week's programs and then essentially put it into these lists, like the top 50 most watched shows. So the week we'll be looking at here is between the 8th and 14th of January 2024. So down at 50, we've got Friday's episode of The Chase at 2.93 million. And do you know what? I'm actually really impressed that The Chase, despite being 15 years old now, has still sort of held its cultural relevancy, has held audiences, as any good quiz show does, but it stood for a long time, 15 years almost, so nice to see that still makes the top 50. You got the BBC Weekend News on Sunday at 49. 48, you've got Amanda and Alan's Italian Job at just over 3 million viewers there. That's on the BBC. What's also nice to see here is Casualty at number 47. That racking in, again, just under 3.1 million viewers. And again, Casualty's been on the air since 1986. It is fast approaching its 40th anniversary. It's a long time. And for these long-standing shows, I feel you either get sort of two halves. They either have that loyal following that will always keep them in the top 50 no matter what, or it'll eventually dwindle away and just be forgotten about. So it's nice to see that Casualty's audience has still come through for them. I used to be an avid viewer of Casualty myself from, well, I always sort of watched it growing up here and there, but I'd say avidly from like 2017 to 2019 was when I probably was the most active with it, but I've heard the storylines have still been stellar. You've got two more installments of The Chase there at 45 and 46. 44, The Weakest Link at 3.142 million. And again, it's nice to see that even though the show's come back, I do have like some gripes with it in terms of like the atmosphere and the way it's been like packaged, but again, it's making the top 50 programs, so well done to all involved. 43 and 42 is the ITV Evening News, and a lot of people will say, how on earth does the news, make the top 50? Well, if you think about it, watching the news, as much as some people dislike it, it is very much a ritual for some people that they'll always whack on the news at 6 o'clock or whenever that bulletin is to just see what's going on in the world. And especially if there's like a big story, if there's something really huge going on, more people tend to turn out for that as well. You've got 24 Hours in Police Custody at number 41, which is a Channel 4 programme, one of their few entries here. That stood at 3.358 million viewers. And again, like Channel 4, it's really hard because you'll find most of these lists are mainly comprised of the BBC and ITV, which, on one hand, that makes sense. They are the two longest running, but also most established UK broadcasters. They're always right at the top of the electronic programming guides on TV, or indeed any of like the streaming boxes we have now. So it always makes sense, because let's face it, people are just inherently lazy, but also, when you have established brands like that, people will tend to go back to them more and more. At least that's what I think. It's what I do as well. At number 40, another episode of The Chase there. 39, Grantchester. BBC News at 10. See, this is what I mean about the news. 37, The Tourist with 3.498 million. I think that surprised a lot of people because if I remember rightly, The Tourist last year, when the first series of that debuted, was really popular, and I want to say it maybe even topped the Barb charts with like its festive episode or something like that. So to see it all the way down here at 37, it seems a bit of a shock, although from what I've read from people, this series hasn't necessarily had the same impact as the first one did. 36 is another episode of 24 Hours in Police Custody from Channel 4, and I'll just tell you now, just to avert it, this is Channel 4's highest placement this week on the list at number 36. It's not impossible for them to crack the top 10, they have done many a times before, but I think with the increased amount of competition, it's increasingly harder for Channel 4, Channel 5 and all those other channels to ever see light in the top 50, hence why I said you are mainly going to see BBC and ITV dominated lists. At 35, Dragon's Den, another long-standing show that's trundling on there with 3.63 million. Countryfile as well. Countryfile has such a loyal following that I never really understood properly until Doctor Who was scheduled after it, but people tune in for this show. Again, over 3.5 million viewers, which in this day and age, especially for a show like that, I think would be considered really good. Number 33 is the first placement of EastEnders, and listen, I know I've had my gripes with this program. Some of you have had gripes with me over this program, which is completely fair enough. It's not really my kind of program. You know, I've dabbled with it over the years, and I know they had the 6 storyline, which seemed to be really popular with viewers, and, you know, that took it back into the top 10. EastEnders, by the way, used to be like top 10, top 20 all the time, like guaranteed, even like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. But here, it's first entry, 33. We've got 3.66 million. And, you know, again, that's not dire in today's circumstances, but it, you know, I think given the program's heyday, it's slightly worrying. Number 32, you've got Anton Deck's Limitless Win. They're always sure to draw in a crowd, those two. That had nearly 3.8 million watching. The FA Cup, of course, Sport's a big draw there, especially when it's hosted by ITV or the BBC. And then you've got Would I Lie to You at number 30. I love how that's still going strong as well, because that's been going, I can't remember the exact year, but that's been going a very long time, and to see that break the top 30, albeit at 30, that's still really good. BBC News at 6, punching the top 30 as well, maybe not the last time we'll see it either. Then you've got 3 episodes of EastEnders here, back to back. I believe these are the other episodes for the week, so 26th, 27th, and 28th. So the most EastEnders got was on the Monday, where slightly just under 4 million viewers tuned in. And yes, the viewing landscape has changed, you know, with all the streaming sites +1, you know, numbers, the meaning of the numbers, if you like, does change. But it does make me wonder if these numbers continue to, like, slip further and further, as slow as it may be. Makes you wonder how long EastEnders is going to chug along after its 40th anniversary next year. You've got Emmerdale there, one of the other soaps. Emmerdale seems to have boomed in popularity over like the last 5 years, because I could be wrong, but I swear like 5-10 years ago, you'd never see Emmerdale pass EastEnders in the charts. The only thing that would usually rival it would be Coronation Street, which we haven't seen that yet, so that's going to come up probably. You've got 2 installments of the BBC News at 6 at 23rd and 24th. One was that on the Wednesday and the Thursday, getting over 4 million viewers, so, you know, strong showing there. 22 is another episode of Emmerdale, before BBC News at 6 again. Right, breaking into the top 20, what have we got? We've got Dancing on Ice, which made its return. Again, another long-standing show, albeit with a new host this time. I'm sure we all know the controversy surrounding that, but that pulled in 4.2 million viewers for ITV. So, you know, these sort of shows are incredibly popular. I must admit, ITV and their various companies know how to produce and package them really well. Not going to take that away from them. I used to do figure skating myself a long time ago, 4 years worth of training, but oddly enough, I've never really warmed to Dancing on Ice. Again, I think the way the show is packaged just isn't for me, necessarily. Then at 19, another round of the BBC News at 6 there, pulling in 4.295. So people say, oh, people don't watch the news. That's clearly incorrect. Then you've got Emmerdale at 18th and 17th, so 2 more episodes there. Coronation Street, the first appearance of Coronation Street. So I guess if anything, this sort of proves the long-standing power of Corrie, that the lowest place it has on the chart at the minute is 16th. It's made the top 20. That's still really good, and it had 4.4, just under 4.5 million viewers tune in for a program that is approaching 65 years old. Fair play. Then at 15, another episode of Emmerdale. I believe this is the highest rated of the week. Again, just under 4.5 million viewers. Number 14 is Antiques Roadshow. Again, like Countryfile, this has a crazy following. Like, I had no idea how immensely huge of a following Antiques Roadshow had until like a few years ago. But again, the fact it makes the top 20 constantly, and over 4.5 million viewers, 4.658, really strong showing there. Coronation Street again at 13th, before The Masked Singer. This one surprised me. So The Masked Singer came 12th. What did it get? It got 4.72 million viewers. Now, again, The Masked Singer as a concept, for me, if I'd really engage with it might be novel for one series, but after that, I personally wouldn't tune in again. I thought the figures with this were going down, but the fact it's made 12th, you know, again, in this, maybe, you know, January's a fairly quiet period on the whole for TV, but so maybe there is still some life in the old dog yet. But again, The Masked Singer's not for me. Is it something you enjoy if you watch it? 11th, so here we have the highest placement for Corrie of its week's episodes at 4.877, so almost approaching 5 million. But again, this shows how the landscape has changed, especially towards soap operas. I've touched on this a bit before regarding soaps, but whereas they used to get over like 10 million viewers frequently, like that was a expected thing that they'd draw in more than 10 million, nowadays, it's so rare for them to reach those numbers. The only time, if ever, now it happens is usually around Christmas when the Christmas specials happen. But yeah, Corrie didn't even crack the top 10 this week. Again, a rarity. So, but still, 11th, fair play. And it's clearly the best rated soap this week as well. Then number 10, we've got After the Flood from ITV. So After the Flood is a thriller series from ITV, and it drew in over 5.5 million viewers. So again, we're reaching into this now. Whereas 5 million, I think now for any like new drama is considered, again, in today's context, that is considered a decent to strong showing. The fact it's got your 10th placement. Number 9 is Michael McIntyre's Big Show. Again, that meant that this is another Big Show return. Michael McIntyre has been sort of a face in the UK zeitgeist now for, again, about 15 years. So he's bound to have a draw, 5.737 million. Number 8, Silent Witness. Again, isn't this the first on? Well, or there's a new series of it on. This show's been going on for yonks as well, by the way. Over 6 million, 6.1 million viewers. So again, old shows reign true. Number 7 is another BBC one, Call the Midwife. Again, another extremely popular drama series at 6.353 million. It doesn't seem to be getting the big draws it used to get, again, either like 5 to 10 years ago, but then none of the dramas are, or very few of them. You have, and then the latest phenomenon, The Traitors, the BBC's new biggest hit. It's back for its second series. So all 3 episodes here are bundled together at 4th, 5th, and 6th place. The Friday episode was clearly the peak with just over 6.5 million viewers tuning in. Now, again, from what I understand of The Traitors, I must admit I haven't dipped into it, and I feel the series is so far in now that it'd be too late for me to start and catch up with all the spoilers and reveals and stuff like that. But from what I understand, it's a like it's a game, but it's like a reality game. It seems to be sort of I dare say a new concept. Maybe it's been done before, but it's a concept that feels fresh to a lot of people, certainly, and it's definitely got people talking about it on social media, in person. It's really crested that wave for it, and I've heard a lot of praise lauded onto it, so maybe I do need to check out if they make a Series 3 of this, which, let's face it, based on the success of this, I definitely think they will. It's been a monster hit for the BBC. 3rd place is taken by ITV. This is their best showing this week with Vera. Once again, I feel like I keep saying it, but another long-standing drama series, and that pulled in 6.715 million viewers. But the odd thing is, if you look, 2nd place is Monday's episode of Silent Witness, which also got the same number, the exact same number. So how that inch second, maybe they measure peaks sometimes, so maybe its peak audience, the total here is like the average, but maybe the peak audience for Silent Witness was ever so slightly higher than Vera. Not quite sure how they've judged that, but Vera's 3rd, Silent Witness is 2nd. And the most watched programme of the week between the 8th and 14th of January 2024 shocked me, but it's Gladiators. Of all things, and it by quite a margin, with 8.364 million viewers tuning in. So a leap of basically 1.5 million from 2nd place. Gladiators is a show, I must admit, I did not think this would do well. It's a show from like the 90s being repackaged. You know, there's no shortage of these shows being repackaged and shown for modern audiences. And I thought this would be a flop. I didn't think it would garner that, you know, times have changed. I didn't think it would garner that same audience, that same hype. But clearly, I was very wrong. I mean, it's hosted by Bradley Walsh and his son Barney, a very popular duo. That's probably contributed into it. I think this was the first episode, so maybe part of it is people are just curious. You know, they have nostalgia for the original. They maybe want to check it out. It has been trailered extensively as well, leading to a lot of people getting interested through that. And overall, I used to watch a bit of the Gladiators from time to time, and the concept is a really fun concept. You know, it's entertaining. It's something for all the family. It's something you can gather on your TV and watch. And also the timing, you know, starting at just before 6 o'clock, perfect timing. Saturday tea time, you know, the golden slot as it once used to be. But I think this showing proves that Saturday tea times still have some merit, that people will still gather around their tellies and watch something they all really enjoy. So fair play to Gladiators. I don't know if it ever used to be top of its charts back in the day, but it certainly is here. Just having looked at some of the old archive data that Barb has from the late 90s, it seems to go as far back as 1998. Gladiators doesn't appear in the top 30 programs of ITV just by itself. So the fact it wasn't doing that, but now it's number 1, it's the most watched program of the week, full stop. That is an insane comeback. Obviously the question is, you know, will this figure hold? Is it just first episode, you know, reappraisal? How many people are going to come back? That we'll have to see next week. But if Gladiators can top the most watched shows 2 weeks in a row, that'd be again an insane comeback. And here are the top 15 programs shown in like a graph form, and just look at that. You can clearly see how further ahead Gladiators is compared to everything else. I'm honestly surprised that the Traitors didn't maybe take the top few spots, because just the sheer amount of I've seen way more people discussing about the Traitors than I have Gladiators, and that's not to diminish the quality of the programming. But again, look at that bar, nearly 2 million more watched Gladiators compared to the Traitors, and you can see even from like 15th to say 5th, 4th place, the graph moves up quite steadily, and then you've got that giant leap. That shows how people are interested in what television is offering, and particularly notice how, again, the top 15 most watched programs are programs from the BBC and ITV, the two longest running, the two oldest, but clearly the two most established broadcasters. They're commissioning stuff, they're putting out stuff that people want to watch. So that is the top 50 programs for this week, and again, here is the top 15 for recollection. But let me know what you think. Do you think this is a surprising list? Are you surprised at any of the entrants on here, or is this sort of what you were expecting? And because Gladiators was the most watched show, I have to ask, did you watch Gladiators when it went out? Was it something you tuned into? Are you planning on tuning into it? Let me know in the comments below. But that's all for this video. Please do leave a like on it. And I'm also thinking I might make this a weekly series. Depends what you guys think of this one. I do enjoy going through these rating systems, talking about it. So yeah, maybe this will become a weekly thing. We'll see. Subscribe to us here if you're brand new as well. We'd love to have you aboard. In the meantime, I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show. And a special thank you to Macra, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, Globe of Reviews, Derek Chambers, Shaun Knock, Daud Khan, Liam De-Maine, Trev Hughes, AJ Mac 200017, Harper, Deck KP20, and Simon Harrison, our AMTV staff members.